I'm Linda McGuire, professional musician, neuroscientist, and gerontologist, and I'm very happy to talk with you today about the use of music with children and infants. And it's a very exciting topic, and I've been studying it for a very long time. So, my guarantee is that I can teach you, and I sing children to sleep in 60 to 90 seconds. So today we're talking about relaxing children when the time is appropriate. Children are very active by nature, and that's good. Very incredible growth from infancy to adulthood, and so that's an important part of the conscious state, is being active and playing on the playground and screaming and yelling. It's good for the brain, it's good for the body, it's good for the physiology. Sleep, however, is a very, very important part of everyone's day, very much so in children. And during the sleep cycle, there are many things that happen. So we're going to talk a little bit about the sleep cycle. There's an incredible amount of nursing literature as to the importance of the power of music, particularly in infants and preterm infants, that improves their health, their respiration rate, their heart rate, their blood pressure, their immunoglobulins, their immune system, and their ability to be released from hospital 2 weeks earlier than non-musically treated children. That's 2 weeks earlier for female infants and 1 week earlier for male infants. So the effects seem to be more powerful on the physiology, the heart rate, the blood pressure, respiratory, relaxation, on girls than it is on boys. And there are reasons for that, and it's not a bad thing either. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. So yes, the nursing literature is just replete with music studies that show that the singing voice, particularly the mother's fingerprint signature voice on the child, relaxes, soothes, plays into the physiology so that that child has a healthier overall response. And we're talking infants here. So why is that so powerful? In the womb, the auditory system is the first to fully develop 4 months before the baby is the 9-month gestational period. And so babies are born with a very acute sense of hearing. And the auditory system is very finely tuned and acute in infants, and why that is still a bit of a mystery, but that's the fact. And in fact, when through life, it's a very powerful system in many, many ways. And when death occurs, actually, the last thing to collapse and extinguish is the auditory system. In fact, the auditory system has it creates energy. Doctors are now looking at cochlear implants that tap into an electrical signal in the cochlear arena that can charge a battery, believe it or not. It's amazing. So the power of music. Today we're going to talk about singing children to sleep, and talking to infants with music, and what the simple techniques are to do that. So let's get started on that. It's very simple, really. I'm going to talk very quickly about infants, nonverbal infants, who are crying and upset, and the power of the vocal sound to move into the system as a passive, sustained, organized, vibratory resonance that taps into the brain and the body that's connected to it to stop most issues. And again, children are very keenly auditory aware, and so they feed into it at a subconscious level. And that's the power of music to move in and settle, calm, redirect. Today we're going to talk about relaxing children. And another day we're going to talk about activating them and getting them cognitively aware. Today it's about relaxation. So it's for parents, for caregivers. So there are 4 elements of singing to a child, and even a simpler for an infant. It's just what you need to do is get basically face to face. The face is very sensitive part of the body. It's most sensitive. You can tell, you can touch the tiniest, it's very highly sensitive. And so it's sensitive to sound vibrations too. The sound the molecules in the air that are vibrated and shaped, perceived through the face and also through the sternum. So when you do sing, even the simplest lullaby, lots of breath. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. Blow, blow, blow. Lots of air, extra air. And that's good for you too. And so it not only helps the child, but it helps the parent. It helps the child go to sleep. It helps the parent kind of establish their own oxygen gradient, tank up in their own oxygen supply that the brain loves so much, and activate the parent. It's like a form of meditation, really, which is based on breath, that taking la 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 la, then good night, those blue eyes close tight. And the baby feels the music, hears it and feels it, and recognizes the mother's fingerprint. And that comforts and relaxes and soothes and settles the infant. That's the infant, and it's a beautiful thing. So that's the crux of that. Blowing lots of air, picking a tune, taking a good breath, lots of air, and keeping that tune just moving and doing it with love. The baby feels that love. There's a cognitive matrix in the sound that the baby passively and non-verbally simply understands. And so love wins, you know? That's the name of the game all through life, right? So moving on to toddlers who have not gathered verbal abilities yet or can understand language. You can talk with from like 6 to 8 months on to, you know, being verbal. You can talk to children with music, and here's how. This is a very simple task too. I do it with infants all the time. What you do is you take short little phrases that you make up. One of my favorites, la 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 la. That gets their attention. They're very acute listeners, and they're like, "What's that I just heard?" They can make sense of it. They can't make sense of the talking, because we talked about this before. It's just like making crack sounds through a crack in a pipe. But singing is sustained resonance. So here's the ticket with the toddlers who are nonverbal. You repeat it. So la 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 la. And then when you repeat it with a thought or an intention or a message, as it were. La 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 la. And when you do that, on that repetition, the child, you could see it in their eyes. It's like they understand what you're thinking, because cognition feeds into the cognitive matrix of the sound, and it shapes the sound. Now when I just did that, I was like, we're going to get active now. But I could sing it like we're going to go to sleep. So here's the first one. La 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 la. La 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 la. So the ball is in your court on the second one as to what you're thinking while you're singing that short little phrase. La 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 la. La 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 la. That was me saying I love you to a child. And they understand that. You can see it in their eyes. So that's that's the trick. That's basically all it is when talking to nonverbal toddlers to and preschoolers, or so that works. Now we're going to get to the meat of the program here, which is singing children to sleep, and that's prepubescent children. As the brain develops, like here's the brain, the brainstem and the cerebellum and the older parts of the brain, like the olfactory and the auditory, are developed, and the sensory is developed quite well too. What is not developed is the executive control, and we know that. That's not developed until really, the 20s is when it starts to develop, and teenagers make decisions that make sense. So that's not developed. So what I'm saying is that the older parts of the brain have developed, and so those working areas of the brain respond to sound very predictably, very immediately, and very predictably. So there are several songs that I use to lecture on sleep inducement or helping children get to sleep. And I'm talking about an 8-year-old who's been playing video games all day and is ready to play them for like 3 more hours, and it's time to go to bed. And so it helps to get them in a position where they're relaxed or comfortable or able to go to sleep. Even if they're sitting in a chair, you can still do it. But you want to just get between them and the video game and say, "Can I sing you a song?" It's bedtime, right? Don't tell them that, but just ask to sing them a song. I use, and it's kind of the same technique. You want to blow a lot of air into the sound. You want to have very little rhythm in the sound. You don't want to sing something that's perky and will talk to their heart rate. We talked about heart rate in a previous program, where heart rate is like the flour in the cake when you're designing, when you're moving in with music. So when you have a child that's activated, you don't want to keep that activation go with a da da ba ba bum ba 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 bum ba ta 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 ta. That's not going to get them to sleep. But la 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 la. You see, there's no rhythm in that, and so it kind of disengages the activity that is inherent in the physiology that is keeping the brain going, at a hyperactive rate. So what I use is a "When You Wish Upon a Star" is one, and the dreams come true. So you want to kind of pick the highest part of the song that you're comfortable singing. Da, 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 da. So that's the key. And that's kind of how you pick songs, pick the keys for songs. You don't, sometimes you can have an accompaniment or one of these little pitch pipes, or work with some of these tinker toys, these bell, like a chimey baby toys. They respond very well. Children respond very well to chimes and such. So you can kind of roll over something like that. But it's the human voice, that mother or caregiver signature fingerprint voice that feeds it. Doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be sincere, and it has to be you. So when ta-ta is the home base, that's another point. So you blow lots of air, very little rhythm, and there's a home base that this song very magically goes around. And so we Tum, bum, 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 bum. We know where home base is, and that's like, okay, we're home, now we can get back to business. But you want to avoid home. And this song does that very well. I've got another example of that too. Tum. I'll point when we get to home, okay? Tum, that's where it starts. It doesn't even start at home. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you. When your heart is in your dreams, no request is too extreme. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. It's like 40 or so notes before you get to home. That's good. And so they're lost in this, where are we going with this? They're lost in this pathway. When you wish upon a star, doesn't matter who you are, anything will come to you. Young children love to hear words like that. They understand words like that. It's validation. And so they get lost in it very quickly. And actually, that is a little high for me. I would tick that a little lower so I could change that. Dun, 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 dun. When you wish, la, la, la. You can pick any key as long as you blow air. You know, be slow with the rhythm. You know, you're telling them these cognitive elements too. Wish, fate is kind. She brings things to those who love. The sweet fulfillment of their secret longing. Like a bolt out of the blue, fate steps in and sees you through. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. And when you do it like that, in 10 to 15 seconds, I swear, their eyes do like this. And then, like in 60 seconds, their whole body has collapsed because they can't control it. Their brain is not developed to control that sustained resonance, all those molecules that are like, oh. And in 60 to 90 seconds, they are in a sleep state. So that is the ticket. Another one is things like I've got the rainbow connection. A dream is a wish your heart makes. Let's go back to the wishing and dreaming first. That's another one. A dream is a wish your heart makes when you're fast asleep. In dreams you will lose your heartaches. Whatever you wish for, you keep. Right? All these promises. And it's very important what we hear, what we read, what we look at and see before we go to sleep. It's very important what a child hears, because what happens in sleep? Sleep is a period very, very well established of consolidating what's happened during the day. And it's like we have another personality when we sleep. Dreams are pretty wacky, right? For children too. They have wacky dreams. And those dreams reflect what has happened during our day. And it also, what you put in before you go to sleep is a very important part of that consolidation process. That's been established in learning music. You know, if you want to learn music, you look at it before you go to sleep and you put it under your pillow and the brain works on it overnight. Very interesting in that sleep is the lowest oxygen level of the day. And in dream state, the REM state, it's the absolute lowest part of the day. It's a day where a lot of things happen as far as cleaning up, mopping up beta amyloid that accumulates in Alzheimer's patients. In the sleep state, that's when it gets kind of mopped up and exited. So sleep is very important, extremely important for children. And a good sleep enables a better activity during the day, better function, better performance, better focus, better grades, better attitude, better mood, better, all better. So good sleep at night, good activity during the day. And during the day should be the highest oxygen activation. That's why meditation, exercise, yoga, breathing principles, all that matters is what you do in that next breath during the day. Staying oxygenated is extremely important for function during the day. And there are a lot of anxiety and allostatic load, they call it, stress-based issues are what causes brain problems. And those issues have to do with low oxygen. That causes cascades of problems in the brain. So we avoid that. So to get a good night's sleep enables a good, activated, functional, buoyant day. And that's what we want. So you have that power as a parent to help your preschooler or school age. So it's basically when you get into these evening songs for the verbalized child, up to puberty, just a little before. Coming up to puberty, they're like, no, don't sing me a song, because they don't want to go to sleep. They know what's going to happen when you sing that song. And around the ages of 10, 11, 12, leading up to puberty, they're going to ask you not to sing it because they know you're going to put them to sleep with it very quickly. So there's some other songs that, so you've got the Dream and the Wish, and another song that avoids the home base is the Ave Verum Corpus by Mozart. So we start with that, and then we have like 50 notes before we come back to that. And that takes them on this tonal journey that is, there's no place to stop. Home, you stop. And so that is kind of the architecture of music that feeds into a cognitive and, so you can orchestrate their getting to sleep by avoiding the home tonality. And of course that piece has words to it. Not everybody knows the words. Ave Verum Corpus. You can just do the melody as well. Basically, it's blowing that air, sustaining that tone, singing it with love and intention. And guess what? The parent, while they're singing it, they get to activate, press oxygen into their own lungs, which equals the conscious state, so that it gently activates the parent, so that the parent, once the child is gone to sleep, the parent can then prepare for their own nighttime ritual, so they will sleep better. Parents need a little less sleep than children, so it all works out. It's a wonderful formula and equation. So, when you sing these songs, you can sing them you can sing the words, and then you can go into la 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 loo, la 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 la. You can sing them as many times as you want. And as you're doing it, it's a form of meditation, and it activates you too. So that's good. And so there's a couple of rainbow songs that I use. Rainbow Connection. La, 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 the rainbow connection. And what's on the other side? So rainbows have this big arching thing. Children know what rainbows are. And it's easy to kind of get lost in the beauty and the open sky of a rainbow. And so it really just puts them to sleep really quickly. You can also do somewhere over the rainbow, one day I'll wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, right? these cognitive mileposts that la 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 la, and just watch your child go to sleep pretty darn quickly. It's amazing. So that's all the secrets there are to helping infants calm. I've seen babies who are crying, and so when a baby cries and seems to be upset when all the other needs are taken care of, that's good for the brain. It activates the brain, it pushes oxygen in, and the brain is recruiting that oxygen and recruiting that resonance of the crying. But guess what? When you sing to an infant, la 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 do la la la, right to its face, that energization is it's taken into the brain, and it makes up for what they're getting through the crying. And it takes no energy from them it kind of takes over for the energy they're having to generate by crying. So I've seen it stop infants crying, or this distress crying. It has a power to do that. So work it. I usually end with a special little song, and here's one appropriate that I use for children. And it's a great little song, This Little Light of Mine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. That's got a beat to it, doesn't it? Bum, 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 bum. That's an active beat. So I'm just ending with a song to bring things back up again, because I assume you're watching this during the day and we're all still awake. I'm just teaching you how to put your child to sleep. And so This Little Light of Mine is a great song. Ba, 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 ba. Has 5 little things. So you could say, here in the studio today, I'm gonna let it shine. Sitting here with Liz, we're gonna make it shine. Going out in the world, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. You can make up any number of verses. We have an internalized rhythm. Bop, 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 bop. Going to the store, sitting in my room, watching the TV now, looking at the sky, and wow, any number of things will fit into that 5-beat pattern. Da-ba-da-bop-ba-da-bop-bum, bop-bop-ba-da-bop-bum. You can make up any kind of number of verses, and let it shine. What a wonderful cognitive way to go out into the world. So you can do that with children, you can do it with yourself, you can do it with adults, and you can make up a lot of verses. And so have fun with that piece. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. So let it shine. Have a great one. Bye-bye. See you next time.